Ooh. Ooh. Oh, there's Sally.
Hey there.
Hey, how's it going?
Lori. Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Can you hear me okay?
I can. I'm going to put my headphones on that I bought.
Okay.
Then I might be able to hear better.
Alrighty.
I had an echo because I was screaming it through a Bose little mini sound speaker because I have a ruptured eardrum.
Oh no. What happened? I'm looking for Eileen.
I don't hear anything now. You guys. Oh, that's because I got to put my earbuds in.
So yeah,
Hey, Nathan. Do you see Eileen?
in the chat. No.
Okay. I hope she didn't send me a tell. I wasn't expecting wasn't expecting company, but it came. There we go. I'll just send her a thing, see if she may be here in just a second. We'll give her a minute.
You aren't hearing an echo from me now, are you?
No, sounds
So.
good.
Okay, good.
Let's see who else we got here. We got Bella here, and Clay. I think the only one not here yet is, oh, there's Eileen. See if I got everybody up now.
Hello, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. I,
Hey.
I literally just finished the Market or the Yahweh and the Mark of the Beast PDF. I haven't got it posted, but it's finished. It's like
Oh, that's great.
That's the last one. Yeah, yeah.
Who am I missing? Am I missing anybody? I thought Clay was going to come up. I invited him. He was in here. He might be driving. I'm going to try one more time.
Texted me. He said he's going to jump in a bit.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool. Tonight we're going to do something different than what we've done before. I'm just going to read some because I want to show people how different what Jesus says is from what's in the Old Testament. And this idea came to me because of watching the Bible studies on TikTok. It's like I'm sitting there watching these people jump through hoops to try to explain the stuff that's in the Old Testament and to justify it. But I think sometimes we need to just read it for what it is. And what do y'all think about that idea?
Yeah, that's fine.
I agree.
Yeah,
I try to do that myself, but I know a lot of other people don't.
Yeah, it's hard, okay? The first thing I want to do is I'm going to go, first before I read this section, I'm going to go to John 5 and read a little bit there. And then I'm going to read some from the Old Testament. This is John 5, verse 36. But I have a greater witness than John's, for the works which the Father has given me to finish, the very works I do bear witness of me, that the Father has sent me. And I've been arguing this, from the very beginning. It's like, look at the works that he does while he's here. He does healing, you know, raising people up, curing the blind, leprosy, cripples. I mean, you name it. Everything he does is good. And then he goes on and he said, and the Father himself, who has sent me, has testified of me. You have neither heard his voice at any time, nor seen his form. And I think that's real important, because we know Moses talked to Yahweh face to face like a man speaks to a man. But you do not believe his word abiding in you, because, but you do not have his word abiding in you, because whom he sent, him you do not believe. He's saying, he sent me and you're not believing me. You search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life. But these are they which testify, and they've got me in the English, but it actually should have been you, because it's a reflexive pronoun, and the subject he's talking about is them and what they have done. And then you can tell that especially when you go to the next sentence or the next verse, because he said, but you are not willing to come to me that you may have life. In other words, you're looking through these scriptures back here, but you're not coming to me that you could have life. I mean, we haven't really looked at this stuff in context, or we probably would have caught that, that there's something wrong with that sentence before. I do not receive honor from men, but I know that you do not have the love of God in you. I have come in a Father's name, and you do not receive me. When another comes in his own name, him you will receive. And that's exactly what everybody has done. How can you believe who receive the honor from one another if you do not seek the honor that comes from the only God? Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one who accuses you, Moses, in whom you trust. Again, here you see that verse reflecting back that the scriptures were talking about them, not him. For if you believed Moses, you would believe me, and for he wrote about you, is what it should read. But if you do not believe his writings, how will you believe my words? Because they're not looking realistically. To me, that sentence means they're not looking realistically at what Moses said. And I'm going to show that tonight, because I think that that's the biggest problem we have, is we don't take a realistic look at what's in the Old Testament. And I just pulled about a couple of chapters that were discussed on one of the lives on TikTok in the mornings, and we got all these people reading this stuff, and they're just like, oh, look, oh, he's going to come after us if we don't do this, and he's going to come after us if we don't do that. And that's not the kind of attitude that Jesus was teaching us, to me. We're going to start in Deuteronomy 3, if anybody wants to follow along. And I'm reading from, so I can tell you what, I've got my New American Standard Bible, which is a pretty literal translation. It reads worse in Hebrew, though, trust me. This is the conquest recounted. This is them recounting what they have done. Then we turned and went up the road to Bashan. And Og, the king of Bashan, with all his people, came out to meet us in the battle of Edrei. But the Lord said to me, do not fear him, for I have delivered him and all his people and his land into your hand, and you shall do to him just as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon. So Lord our God delivered Og also the king of Bashan, with all his people, into our hand, and we smote them until no survivor was left. We captured all his cities at that time, and there was not a city which we did not take from them. 60 cities, all region of Argob and the kingdom of Og in Bashan. And these were the cities fortified with high walls, gates, and bars, besides a great many unwalled towns. We utterly destroyed them. So we did to the Sihon, king of Hesh. We utterly destroyed the men, the women, the children, and of every city. But all the animals and the spoil of the cities we took as our booty. In other words, they went in, unalived everybody, men, women, and children. They took their goods, and they took their land. They took everything. Now, what did Jesus tell us the enemy comes to do? Unalive, steal, and destroy. And that's exactly what we see in the Old Testament over and over and over again. People are not thinking with their thinking caps on. Okay, we're going to continue on them in verse 8 of Deuteronomy 3. Thus we took the land that time from the hand of the 2 kings of the Amorites, who were beyond the Jordan, from the valley of Arnon to Mount Hermon. Okay, Sidonians call Hermon Surlon, and Amorites call it Seir. All the cities of the plateau, and all of Gilead, and all of Bashan, all far as Shakel and Edrei, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. For only Og, king of Bashan, was left of the remnant of the Rephaim. Behold, his bedstead was an iron bedstead, as is in Rabbah, the sons of Ammon. Its length was 9 cubits, and its width 4 cubits by ordinary cubit. And that's in parentheses, so I don't know if that's in every text or not, probably not. But that means he was a giant. He was big. That bed was big. So we took possession of this land at that time, from Anor, which is in the valley of Arnon, and half of the hill country of Gilead, and the cities I gave the Reubenites and the Gadites. The rest of Gilead and all of Bashan and the kingdom of Og I gave to the half-tribe of Manasseh. All the region of Argob and Bashan is called the land of Rephaim. Jehu the son of Manasseh took the region of Argob as far as the border of the Jeserites, and the I can't pronounce that word, Mathanites, called what is Bashan after their own name, Havarjar, as this is today. To Machner I gave Gilead, and to the Reubenites and to the Gadites I gave the Gilead even as far as the valley of Arnon, and the middle of the valley of the border, as far as the river of Job, and the border of the sons of Ammon. And Arbath also, with the Jordan as the border from Cinnereth, even as far as the sea of Arab, and the salt sea, all the foot of the slopes of Pishkal on the east. Then I commanded at that time, the Lord your God was giving you this land to possess it. To possess it. How did they possess it? They took it. They stole it. They unalived people to take it. That's not a good thing. All valiant men shall cross over armed before your brothers and the sons of Israel. But your wives and your little ones and your livestock, I know that you have much livestock, of course they did by that time, shall remain in the cities which I have given you, until the Lord gives rest to your fellow countrymen as to you, and they shall possess the land which the Lord your God has given them beyond the Jordan, and then you may return every man to his possession which I have given you. And I commanded Joshua at that time, saying, your eyes have seen all that the Lord your God has done to these 2 kings, and so the Lord shall do to all the kingdoms into which you are about to cross. So this is a plan to keep going, to keep marching. Let's keep let's keep destroying, unaliving. Let's keep, killing, unaliving, men, women, and children. Let's take all the booty. They're going to have a lot of cattle, lots of livestock. I mean, I get mad at myself. I want to tell y'all honestly, I get mad at myself because I ever bought into this and that I could read it and actually say this as father. I mean, I must have been nuts. Totally nuts. Let me, I pray.
Same way.
Let me, I pray, cross over and see the fair land that is beyond the Jordan, that good hill country in Lebanon. But the Lord was angry with me on your account, and would not listen to me. And the Lord said to me, Enough, speak to me no more of this matter. Go up on the top of Pisgah, and lift up your eyes to the west, and the north, and the south, and the east, and see with your eyes, for you shall not cross into the Jordan, but charge Joshua, and encourage him, and strengthen him, for he shall go across at the head of the people, and he will give them as an inheritance the land which you see. So we remained in the valley of Beth-peor. That's the end of chapter 3. So he's mad at Moses, so he's not even going to get to see the promised land. You find out later on there's only 2 people that literally get to go into the promised land. Chapter 4, and then he starts encouraging them to keep all the statutes and the laws that the Lord's given them. Now, O Israel, listen to the statutes and judgments which I am teaching you to perform, so that you may live and go in and possess of the land which the Lord your God, your fathers, has given you. It's like it wasn't like a gift that the Lord owned, or like he was going to give them that nobody else was living there. This was things that they had to unalive people to take their goods. I mean, when you start talking about that, you're talking about like what we see today in Ukraine, where you go in and you just wipe everything out, wipe everybody out, and take what belongs to them. That's just not fair. It's not right. And I don't care what anybody says. We're born with a sense of right and wrong from the time we're real little. If you grabbed a candy bar in the store, you knew you messed up, because even if you're a little tyke, because you born, Father gives us an inside thing of what's good and what's evil. And I don't think we've really followed that heart that he gives us. He gives us a great heart. And I'm including myself, and I'm not bashing on people for believing that this Old Testament is Father, because that's what we were taught. From the time you're 2, you're handed a Bible and you're told that the front and the back go together, and it's all one person, and it's not. There's no way you can make it one. Then he goes on, he said, You shall not add a word which I am commanding you, nor take away from it, and you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God which I command you. Your eyes have seen what the Lord has done in the case of Baal-peor and all the men who followed Baal-peor. The Lord your God has destroyed them from among you. He got unalive. Bye. But you who held fast to the Lord your God are alive today, every one of you. See, I have taught you the statutes and judgments, just as the Lord your God has commanded me that you should do thus in the land where you are entering to possess it. Again, we got this word possession, So keep and do them, for this is wisdom and your understanding in the sight of peoples who will hear all of these statutes and say, Surely this great nation is wise and understanding people. Why? Because they can go mow over another one? Is that what makes them wise and understanding? For what great nation is there that a God was so near to it that the Lord God, I'm sorry, I messed that one up. For what great nation is there that has a God so near to it as the Lord our God, wherever we call on him? Or what great nation is there that has statutes and judgments and righteousness, as this whole law which I am settling before you today? Only give heed to yourself, and keep your soul diligently, so that you do not forget the things which your eyes have seen, and they do not depart from your heart all the days of your life, but make them known to your sons and your grandsons. So make known that we went in and unalived everybody, and that we took their possessions, we got all the booty, and the Lord blessed us because we did it. Now, how would you feel? I want everybody to literally think how you would feel if you took a javel and you walked into a person's home and you bore it right through their chest, and you walked in there and just opened their jewelry box and took their TV and took all their belongings and walked out. How you gonna feel? Do you feel like you're blessed by the Lord at that point? That's what we're talking about. I mean, people do not really read this for what is really there. They just speed bump right over it and say, oh, well, they were this, or they were that, or they were too tall, they were a giant, or they were, they must have been some kind of freak or genetic miscalculation or something. There got to be a reason why they did it. I'm sorry, folks, but I can't find a reason, except that it's evil. I'm preaching tonight. Yes, I'm preaching. I'm sorry. And he goes on, he said, remember the day you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, and the Lord said, assemble the people to me, that I may let them hear my words, so that they may learn to fear me all the days that they live on the earth, and they may teach their children this. Now, I don't know about y'all, but loving Father, you don't have to be afraid. Were you afraid of your father? Or was he the one you looked up to? I mean, in some cases, yeah, you're afraid of the father, I mean, I had an alcoholic father that was mean and awful. And that's probably why I accepted this so long. But, it's like, he wants you to fear him. That's just not right. I might talk back on that in a few minutes on something that happened to me about Father that tells me that there is nothing to fear from Father at all. Father is love. Father loves every one of us. Okay, it said, you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountains burned with fire to the very heart of the heavens. Darkness, cloud, and thick gloom. Now, we're told in the New Testament that God is light and in him is no darkness at all. You're talking about darkness, clouds, thick gloom. Is that what you perceive as your heavenly Father? Then the Lord spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the sound of his words, but you saw no form, only a voice. And see, Jesus just told us in John 5, you've never heard his voice, and you've never seen his form. Here it says you saw the form, but you heard the voice, but you didn't see a form. This changes as we go along, too. So he declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, that is, the 10 Commandments. He wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And the Lord commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might perform them in the land where you are going over to possess it. Here we are again. We're going to go over. You're going to unalive everybody. You're going to take the booty. You're going to possess it. So watch yourselves carefully. Since you did not see any form on that day, the Lord spoke to you at Horeb from out of the midst of fire. So he did speak to them. They heard his voice, according to them. So that you do not act corruptly and make a graven image for yourself with the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on earth, the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the skies, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the water below. And beware not to lift up your eyes to heaven and see the sun and the moon and the stars and all the host of heaven, and be drawn away to worship them or serve them, those which the Lord your God allotted you to all the peoples under the whole heavens. So don't make any images. Don't take a camera and make any pictures of your loved ones. No memorabilias. Don't make any pretty art. You know, you just got to be a dullard. Basically, it's like, and what is the word for bread in the New Testament? And Jesus said He's the bread of life. Artos. It's Latin for the creator of all arts. It's like this is just, what we have been handed is evil. But nobody really sees it. They do not see it. It's like, I'm an artist. I paint. I love creating paintings. They're beautiful. They give people joy. I give them away all the time. It's like, this is not what Father in Heaven wants for us. He's the artos of creation. He's the artist of everything. Everything you look around. Nobody paints like him. It's like, the more I think about this, the madder I get. I'm sorry. Yeah, the paintings, they bring joy and stuff. It's like, and Nathan, it's like, you can give something beautiful to somebody. You can say, you don't have to worship it. That would be ridiculous. It's a creation. It's not the creator. You don't worship the creation. That's what a lot of Wiccans mess up. I used to be Wiccan. They want to worship the creation and not the creator. But the big deal is that we have to, think about what we're reading. Think about what we're saying and what we're taking in. Thank you, Bella. Yeah, it's something special that some people are talented with music. Some people have a beautiful voice, but we give the artos that Jesus puts inside us. We give it to everybody else every day, and that's beauty. That's love. We just keep giving and creating because He made us wonderful. I don't know how far y'all want me to go before we do discussions, but I can read a little further if you want me to. What do y'all think?
Either way is fine with me.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I'm not hearing nobody. I must have hit something.
If somebody wants to come up and talk,
What the
that's
heck?
fine too. Oh no, she
Let me
can't hear
unplug
me.
this.
It's okay. You
Can
got
y'all
it?
hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
can
we
hear
hear
you.
you.
Why can't I hear y'all?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Bella.
Uh-oh.
I can hear you.
Okay, now I can. I'm sorry. I wasn't hearing nobody. I hope I'm speaking.
You can hear now?
Do y'all want me to keep going, or do you want me to stop
Unless somebody
there?
wants
Or
to come up, I guess. But
Is there anybody that wants to
I
come
still
up?
can't hear. What's going on?
Babs is here. Oh, I don't. No, I can't hear.
Is it plugged in all the way?
Yeah, is the mic plugged in? I guess I should just type in chat. She can't hear
Okay,
me.
I think I fixed it. I think I had a loose
Are you
connection.
there? You
Yeah, I
there?
think so. Can y'all hear
Sam
me?
Price, you can come
Yeah,
up
we
and
can
talk.
hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I'm sorry about that. I didn't know I had a loose connection.
It's okay.
Do y'all wanna discuss what we've done so far? Because this is like, I don't know how long y'all want me to go on with the reading, but I was just trying to point out some of the things that I see as problems in here.
There is somebody in the chat that wants to come up, Sam Price.
Sam Price, okay.
716. That's Buffalo.
I'm trying to find him.
Samantha. That's a lady.
Oh, okay, I see her. Let's see if that got it. Samantha, can you request to come up? I don't know if that went through.
I'm not a moderator this time. I could do it before on the last couple
Oh,
lives.
let me see if why you're not in there. You should be. Nope. I don't know why it would have taken you off because I've had you on there.
I don't know. I wasn't one the last live. I don't know why.
I'm trying to remember how to do it.
If you see the box on there that says the plus sign request, you just hit that and it'll request to have you come up.
Down at the bottom, it says multi with the two people. It looks like two little people there. Click that, and that's how you can join.
How do I make him a moderator? I can't remember. He was on my moderator list. But I haven't done it in so long.
I think you have to click on his name and then add him that way. It's been a while since I added
Okay.
someone.
Microphone. All right. You didn't change your settings or anything, did you?
Mm-mm. Not that I know of.
I'm still showing you as a
Samantha's having
moderator.
a hard time.
I'm still showing you as a moderator.
I don't know why. Like, I can't do anything.
Let me make
Samantha's having a
sure.
hard time getting on.
Uh-oh, she might have her thing
Oh, they only
marked.
have one
private.
follower. That's probably what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Samantha, try to redo your settings from private.
Yeah, you've got full moderator stuff you should have.
I don't know why I can't let them. I don't know.
It says you can turn off comments, you can mute accounts, you can block accounts, you can poll and give gifts and pin stuff, so I think I've got everything on there.
I don't know why it's not letting me.
I don't either.
Because I'm looking at people, I'm like, let's see, can I try to boot Eileen?
I know that's not true.
I don't have 100 followers, and I'm on the panel.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't boot anybody.
I don't know why it's doing that way.
Me.
I know. I just look at it. I don't know why.
Yeah, you may have to, you might be marked private. Sometimes if you're private too, it won't let you up. Oh, somebody's requesting.
Greetings.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. On the settings for moderator, you have to slide a little bit farther up or down on the thing, and that's where he can then add into accept guests. You have to kind of scroll a bit up
Okay.
because the adding for guests option is just under where you can see. It's like one or two more options below.
Alright. This stuff, I'm just not that savvy with the internet stuff. Now I gotta remember how I got to it to begin with.
Are you on the tablet?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to your settings. You go to the multi guest on the bottom. And
Okay.
then there's the round settings bar when you're gonna accept somebody on the very top.
Uh-huh.
And then you go to the individual and go to moderators and then add the option.
Yeah, he's listed under there.
Right, and then when you click on him, then it'll give the options that he has, and then you have to scroll all the way to the bottom, and then it'll say add guests, and you have to click it.
Okay.
If you don't add it, he doesn't have the option. He can only
Manage.
mute or.
Yeah, I got manage guest and more is marked where he can do it.
Huh. Well, that's weird.
I don't know why it's
He
not
might
working.
have to drop and come. He might have to drop and
I
come
could
back,
drop and
or
come
he
back.
might
Yeah.
have to update. You might have to update the
Maybe.
app though too, because there was just an update.
I'll back out
given.
for a second and see.
I bet it might be the update that they did. I bet, because
Yeah.
I haven't updated either.
Yeah, I just had to update like before I got on.
Yeah.
I can back out and try
Thank you for
again.
helping, Will I?
No problem. I've got like 10 moderators. It happens to me all the time.
I'm gonna back out. I'm gonna try again.
Okay. Technical difficulties. I gotta love the computer age. Alright, I think he's back. Yeah, he's back. Now check it and see.
Yeah, okay, so I realize what I have to do now. You actually have to invite me up and I accept and then I can do it, I think. That's what it is. Because if I
Okay.
request to come up and then I come up if I request to come up as a guest, I can't do anything. So I have to have you do it.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Did that work now?
Yeah, now it all works.
Okay. Hi, Vincent. Thanks for coming.
Everyone's getting booted.
Yeah, I was trying to
No,
think what
Sam,
else.
it's because Sam, you don't have enough followers. That's
That
the
might
problem.
be it. We got to get you some more followers.
Yeah, I followed her.
I literally only have like 15 or 20 followers, and I'm not able to be up here.
That's wild, isn't it?
I don't have
It
100.
might be how long you have the account too, though, and how active you
Oh,
are. I don't know. I have to look up
Yeah, you've got
something.
41.
I have 41. Okay.
Who's
Yeah, I
that?
don't even know it. I bought a new phone and I synced my other phone and it made another account.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm like,
Hey,
this is
Jacqueline.
weird.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Unmute your mic, probably Jacqueline. We can't hear you yet.
Hello. I don't hear nothing from her.
Oh, she's new to TikTok. Okay. Do you see a little phone thing? You have to unmute yourself when you're going to talk.
Doesn't say that she's muted though.
No, now
Oh,
it's
now you're
unmuted. Yeah.
unmuted. Yeah. Do you have a
Can you
mic?
hear?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
oh,
we
there
hear
we
you
go.
now.
There we go.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. I really want to say thank you to you guys for having the guts to share the truth that you see. I never went to church. My parents never took us to church. 2.5 years ago, I could see that the world's spiraling down to, I don't know where, but it's not good. So I took my nose up out of the grindstone and I looked around. And I found a video about Christmas that it's rooted in paganism. So I started some research there, and I could see how the church, quote unquote church, is steeped in paganism and what it means. So, and we sold Christmas trees for 45 years. So I was like, whoa.
Are you from the mountains of North Carolina?
Nope, Northern Virginia.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They grow Christmas trees up there too. Don't you have to grow them on a slant?
Well, we were retailers.
Anyways, I'm
So
sorry. I'm sidetracking you. I was
no,
just
no, that's
curious.
okay. Yeah. So I had to buy a Bible, and I did in January of 2022. And I started this quest for truth. And it took me down all of these rabbit holes. Yah. Is it Jehovah? Is it Yahuwah? Is it Yahweh? Is it this? Is it that? The Ten Commandments. The one thing that we did do as kids, we watched Charlton Heston's Ten Commandments every Easter season. Fail. Okay, so that was what I knew about quote unquote God, and that was it. when I was in my early 20s, I was looking for some truth. Who's God? Why are we here? What's going on? Because to me, back then, we were in a prison that seemingly had no point. Maybe we have to keep coming back until we get it right, but I didn't know what right was. I looked around, the Christian neighborhood, and that was during the days of Jimmy Swaggart and Jim Baker. I'm 56 years old. Okay. And they were totally disgusting to me. So, I rejected that. And I just thought, well, this just isn't meant for me. So I go down the whole path of, okay, it's Jehovah, or maybe it's Yahuwah, or maybe it's whatever. But okay, we're supposed to do the 10 Commandments. And I have not stopped looking for truth in these 2.5 years. But nothing ever really set right, because he likes the smell of burning flesh. And I could never get over that. My husband said, man, he likes the smell of burning flesh. Something's like, like you say, all of this
aroma pleases
unaliving.
him.
Right. And the rape and the child, I mean, it just taking out all these
Oh,
kids. all the,
Jacqueline,
Yeah,
try to use
Jacqueline,
grape instead of that word because they'll
you
flag
can't
me.
you can't say
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, that
schmurder, or you
we
have
could
to
get
say
shut down for
unalive.
that.
Yeah,
So
so you
yeah,
can't say, you
okay.
have to say grape, and I know it's
it's
annoying, but
ridiculous, but we have to do it. Well, they got kids on.
I'm
Here's
sorry.
why. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So our friend Tina, I mean, she's way more brave than I am. She delves into these different possibilities. And she was the one who said, Jackie, there's something not right. And I said, yeah, I get it. There isn't something right. But we couldn't put our finger on it. And then we came across one of your videos, and it just all just falls into place. One of your YouTube videos, right? So I took this to Chuck, and Chuck is like, yeah. And I take it to Mark, and he's like, yeah. And my dad, yeah. Ara, yeah. And here we are. And I wonder, why did I have to go through this whole rigmarole, learning this Old Testament? But then I know, because I understand the delusion, or I don't know what it's called, but how can we not see that, the whole, it's unaliving whole groups of people.
Right.
right,
And
right.
it's like
Without,
I look at a Revelation and it says the books were open, and people are judged on what they have done. It's like, oh, we got two sides to this sword. It's like,
I can add something, if I can interject for a second, because for a lot of us here, we were studying into the Torah observance, or Hebrew roots, whatever you want to call it. And I think for a lot of us, if we hadn't gone that route, we wouldn't have even seen what we're seeing now. We had to go through that. So I think that was Father guiding us through those things to be a part of that, even though it's clearly not right and it's evil pretty much. So
Wait a
uh,
minute. I never went into no Hebrew root stuff.
no, I know you didn't, but
I did.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was
I did.
there.
Nathan did. And the more I did
I didn't.
the Torah portions, the more sickening I got. And I was like, they're making justifications for all this evil. And I read through this whole thing when I was 27. And then it didn't make any sense to me then. And I guess I was just so young and scared that, because I had open chest surgery and they told me I might not make it and all that. And I was thinking, I don't want to have go face, God, and read all these other books and never read his. So I sat while I was recuperating and I read the whole thing. And I just kind of blew it off except for Jesus's words at that time. And then I waffled away and went into Wicca for 14 years. And then he started tugging at me to come back. And it was like, but when I came back, I went full force this time. I didn't mess around. I started studying like a beaver. And then the more I studied the Old Testament, the more disgusted I got. And I thought, oh my gosh, what have I done? Am I losing my mind here? I mean, this just doesn't seem good. None of it seems good. And but you got to keep digging. You can't throw the baby out with the bath water. It's like Jesus had the words. It's like the red letter text is life. His words are life. They're everlasting life. And the other stuff is to like lasso you into a system where you're going after that one that loves the smell of flesh burning. I mean, it's horrible. I'll quit interrupting now. I just had to interject there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay. Jacqueline, if you want to keep saying what, because you were kind of saying how you came to it, but, or if you were done.
Well, like right now, since we're just so recently awake, I mean, and, you know, understanding who Yah is, we're like hurt. We're like stunned. It's like a feeling of betrayal. And I mean, it's emotionally hurtful. It's weird, you know. I'm delighted for the truth. Don't get me wrong, but I look back at all of what, you know, I thought I was learning, and I was learning. I mean, the way I look at it is this. It's like you have Yah in his tornado, and I was in his tornado with people fighting and calling each other names over what his real name is. No, it's Jehovah. No, it's Yahuwah. No, it's this. And, you know, they get insulting and nasty. And when Chuck and I first started this journey 2.5 years ago, we thought in the beginning, wow, we're going to have like-minded people and people are going to get along and all that. And it was like, no, because I mean, he was atheist as well, right? From his upbringing even. And, you know, to be in the Yah vortex, the Yah tornado, it's no fun. It's nasty. And in these last few weeks, we've taken a step back and we just watch the tornado roll. You know, we go on Twitter and we see people, you know, the back and forth. I mean, calling each other evil servants, telling each other they're damned. They're going to have to learn it the hard way. And then knowing that really the yardstick is 1 John 1:5. There's no darkness in him. So if we go and we read these different things, if there is any darkness, it's not him. And somehow or another, I got to some near-death experience videos. They just popped up on my YouTube thing, right? I'm in an office. I have to wait 20 minutes. You know, I pop something up to kill some time, and there's a near-death experience. I wasn't looking for it. You hit it, boom. It's matching what I'm seeing now that, you know, I've gotten this confirmation that, no, our Father is not a homicidal maniac. You know, he's goodness, and evil repels from him. You know, you can't have both in one. It doesn't work. And the people that I've talked to about this or messaged really that reject this notion, it's always because wicked, because justice, when there is no justice. It's like that concept is, it's just not part of our Father. It's just not there. And for whatever reason, some just can't accept that. It's like there's like a bloodlust, I guess a heart condition that's not right, that they deserve it somehow. I mean, I've even heard a woman how, you know, her mother was a bad mother, so she's going to have to pay the price one day, arg, you know. And that's a heart that, you know, I had a very abusive mother, but I don't want her in hell, and I don't want her to pay a price. You know, I just want her to be forgiven, everything to be okay, right? So I think it's a heart condition when people can't accept that our Father is nothing but goodness. And again, I just thank you guys for, you know, I appreciate all the time that you've put in to research this and find real translation meanings and how they've taken out the negative particles. So, you know, it goes from I'm not Christ to I am Christ, right? How sneaky. I appreciate the time you've put in. I mean, bravo. And the fact that you're doing these meetings on TikTok, you know, this open forum where I'm sure you've just had your nose punched a zillion times by people that just
Yeah,
don't want this truth.
it's pretty bruised at this point, definitely.
Yeah, if you even have one left, right? So just thank you so much. Keep up the good work. There are many of us out in the world that want the truth, whatever it is, whatever it is, and we're diligently seeking, and what you're doing is just fantastic. And just thank you so much to all of you, to Bella, to Nathan, to Aline, all you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for saying that. It
I,
means
I,
everything.
I appreciate it. Y'all, everybody listen to me real carefully. Thank Father. Because I swear he has brought me through and showed me I could never have done this. It's like he's everything to me, and it's like
Yep.
he brings me through it. I wouldn't have seen it without him. But you're right about the light and the dark. It's like I think people choose. You have to choose. And maybe that's our mission by coming down here, is to either choose the light or the dark. Decide what it is we're about, Or will we choose Father and light, or will we choose darkness?
Yes, I agree with that. And, all of this is by the hand of our true Father. And he knows that you have the guts to do this. So I'm grateful for it all. So thank you. You're helping a lot of people.
Thank you for being here, too. You helped me by being here and saying what you do.
Well,
Yeah,
my friend
it's
Tina,
encouraging.
I mentioned this meeting, and she might be in the group. I don't know how to look to see who's here or not here, because I'm like technologically handicapped, and I've been on, TikTok like 3 times, and here I am for the 4th, right? So, but when she started on this, first you figure out that Paul is not who he's purported to be, right?
Right.
And you get punched in the nose, and okay, and people leave you, and they call you names, and you develop relationships with people on this journey, and then for whatever reason they don't see who Paul is, or they don't want to see who Paul is, and then boom, there's a fracture, and we can't agree to disagree. Everybody gets hateful, right? So okay, and then something's not sitting right with all of this blood. I have some animals. I've had, chickens in the past. Now we have some cattle, and it's like, I asked Chuck, how are we going to ever process a cow? I can't do this. They're like my pets now, and you look back at the Old Testament, and they're slaughtering animals to the tune of thousands. I don't think people really fully understand how disgusting that would be in that space, with blood flying and feces. I mean, it just, I think we're desensitized. We go to the grocery store, we buy whatever we buy. It's on our piece of plastic. We don't know what it takes to get there. So when people are reading about all these sacrifices, I don't think people really understand what a horrible, disgusting sight and smell that would be. And sounds, because they know what's happening, and the crying and the misery. And how can this be the creator of the universe? Really, he's into this? It just can't be. He's not petty. He would be. Oh, and he's a jealous God. Jealous of what? He has everything. He made everything. He's so far above all of these fleshly, negative emotions and requirements. But we're scared to even go there because, we're going to go to hell, right? So we need confirmation, and we need to be able to feel safe enough to crawl out of that, which is what you guys do. You provide that for people.
So the churches, to me, are kind of like a place where everybody huddles together, in fear. It's like
Yes.
they huddle together in fear, trying to keep from averting from going to this burning place and dying, and they don't realize we're already in the underworld. Jesus taught us
Right.
we're in Cato, we're in the underworld.
Yes.
Some level
And that,
of it.
That I kind of knew when I was a kid, you know? I could tell that. And now here I am. I've gone the whole gambit, read this book cover to cover, and how many times I don't know, and searched, and I think I knew more as a child than I knew 3 years ago, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I did too. I felt connected to Father from a very early age. And then as I got older and got indoctrinated and all this, I started feeling like I didn't know where he was. Where is he? What happened to him? It's like, where'd he go?
Mm-hmm.
And it's indoctrination, is what it is.
Yes, it is. And it's thick, and it's just wild to know this. And the whole world is just deceived, and
Yeah.
in so many different ways. I mean, once you think you got a handle on something, whoa, Paul's not right. Then you think you got another handle on something, and whoa, that one's wrong too. The twists and the turns. So, but I mean, we do see things unfolding in the real world out there, right? That I can read in this book, and then and who's coming back and who's not coming back, or maybe they've already come back. I mean, the whole timeline thing, I have no clue, but really for me, the point is the message that the true Son delivered. That's the ticket. And everything else, yeah, of course I want to know, but
Yeah, that new commandment he gave us, love one another. That's the bottom line. Once we do that, everything else falls into place. Because if you love everybody, you're not going to steal their possessions. You're not going to unalive them. You're not going to steal their wife or, covet their wife, or, you're not going to do those bad things. And we got there's some good mixed in with the bad, and that way, it gets very confusing. But all in all, to me, I see a bunch of evil.
Matthew 7:12, treat others how you want to be treated, right? I don't want to be unalived. I don't want to be violated. I don't want my possessions stolen. I don't want my land taken. It makes, it's just like that common sense thing, right? So I don't know. It just,
if your neighbor's down and they're sick and they need you to fix them a meal, that's just a given. You would do it, you do it because you love them.
right. That's right. And I'll say that when I went down the whole, I guess it was Hebrew roots, I don't even know what it was to put a label on it, but serious Old Testament, love was like villainized, like, oh, that's mushy gushy Sunday God Christmas Jesus talk. That's not what it means. It means obedience. 1 John 5:3 or whatever the verse is, I don't remember, but it was any kind of like real kindness, compassion, all of that. No, that's not what it means. It means to be useful. You have to go rebuke them, right? So some people that I've known, I mean, it's like they're on a constant rebuke fest, looking and picking. And really, when it all comes down to it, it's condemnation, which we're told not to do, right? So I tell you, myself personally, emotionally, I'm worn out from it all. I'm just so delighted to have found what I believe is the true message. And now I got to go, reconcile it all, because
it changes you
Tina,
with
myself.
Once you see the Father's true nature and you see that He loves everybody and that He's there for you and all, it changes you. It's like it's made your life transforming to me.
Yes, and it's like 10 tons have been taken off of my shoulders, off of my head. All of that darkness, all of that heaviness, all of that oh no, am I doing it right? Am I keeping the Sabbath exactly right? Is it okay if we do the dishes? I mean, it's like
Yeah, it's
crazy.
like,
Now that I know the truth, I look back and it's like, I'm wondering if I can do the dishes. Are you kidding me? But that's where you go, on that road, to Yah land. And there's no end to it. And, you exhaust yourself. And then, we find out the truth is, it's freeing. There's a quote that my friend sent me. It was from the Gospel of Thomas. Jesus said, let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over all. Gospel of Thomas 2. And I can kind of connect with that because I don't have to fear, right? I don't have to
yep, that's the bottom
constantly
line.
worry.
Father is not about fear. He's not there to try to make us afraid,
Mm-hmm.
My dad, when he saw this, he well, as he was seeing it, I guess that we could say, but it was like you were saying about the blood and all this and that. And he's like, yeah, I'm sitting in this little church and they're talking about being washed in the blood of the Christ and washed with the bloody Christ. And he's like, what is this? Like, what am I singing? He's like, I can't even sing this song now. And then, he doesn't really care for the church, obviously, much now that he's woke up to a lot of these things, and I've seen a lot of changes in his life and how he acts, and even at an older age. I had to try to show him this, and I was really trying hard, and he got it, though, and now it makes sense to him, so that's a blessing. But I just kept remembering him. He would bring up all them old hymnals and things that they sing, and it's like, gosh, some of that stuff is so messed up.
Oh, for those that are new too,
wanna...
I'm sorry, Nate, I'm going to say this while I'm thinking about it because I'll forget. But those
Go
are
ahead.
new. When you look at the word parable, we were not even told the truth about that. It's not some mystical thing that you can't understand. It back in the first century, it literally meant compare. So when Jesus says, I tell you a parable, he's saying, compare this. And like on the Sabbath, he said his father was still working, and that he hadn't taken a rest. He doesn't need a rest. He's father, It's like, and we just have to keep making those comparisons because every time you read something that he said, go back and look for it in the Old Testament, and then you'll see it. You'll see that he was, demonstrating this is wrong. This is wrong. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nate. I'm sorry. I just had to say that while I was thinking about it.
I was
For the people that are new,
done. Yeah, people that are listening.
Then the one verse that you went and dug into the the real wording and what it really says is that he didn't come to get rid of peace. He came to get rid of the sword. It just kills me how it's been so manipulated to promote unaliving.
Definitely.
So it's amazing. Thank you again, guys. Thank you for listening. I hope Tina's here and she speaks up, but just thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it so much.
We're glad to have you.
Yes, very glad. Need some?
That's great.
Hello?
Sunshine.
Sunshine. Yeah, that's right. I couldn't read the whole name. It cuts it off on my screen. How you doing, Sunshine?
Friend. I'm great. How are y'all doing?
We're doing good.
That's good. Look, I just had to, I don't know how long I'll be able to stay in here, so if I pop off, don't be offended, but I've been watching your lives, and I really thought it was fascinating that all of the artists, so I'm a hairstylist, So I'm an artist in a sense, but I thought it was very interesting how the majority of us on here are artists.
That is wild, isn't it?
It
Yeah,
really
we've talked
is.
about that.
And hairstyling is
Yeah,
art. It's like sculpting the hair, you know.
exactly. But so I just wanted to let you guys know, I have introduced this information to my best friend a couple years ago, and I mentioned it to y'all before. I know you talk to a lot of people, but it kind of sent her off into the opposite direction of not believing in God whatsoever. So
That
now,
happens sometimes,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, I told her about your TikTok artist and how you go live, and I'm hoping that she will join in with you guys sometimes. But she asked me a question, and I know my answer, but I'm just curious of what your answer would be. So she gets stumped on wondering if Jesus is the only way to be saved. In other words, people, I guess, could find God in several different ways, but is Jesus like the only one that can get you to heaven? My answer would be yes, absolutely. He is the way, the truth, and the light. So, what would you guys say to that?
I would say definitely yes. That he is the way, the truth, and the life. He's everything, really. And he said all that ever came before him were thieves and liars, and the sheep don't hear their voice. And I think that his word has gone out, even though it was conglomerated in this mess. I think every bit of it will pass away except for what he said.
Okay. I feel the same exact way.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I can give you an example too. It's like the Mandan Indians out west when Lewis and Clark went across and they were meeting these people for the first time, and they had never seen a white man, they thought, or they called him pale, whatever that meant. Because I don't like to racially profile Jesus because I don't think he's any race on earth. I think he's from heaven. And, but when they got there, the Mandans thought that Jesus had returned and brought his brothers and sisters with him. And they went rushing out to greet him and were all happy and everything. And they were perplexed. They were like, well, they've never had a Bible. They've never had anything. And they put this in their journal. I'm paraphrasing it because I don't have it right in front of my face. But they said that he had the wounds and stuff, and that he came and just talked to them about how to live and how to love one another and things like that. And when they saw these other people coming, they thought that he had returned and was bringing his brothers and sisters. Then they felt real bad because they carried the smallpox. They had the immunities, and the Mandans didn't, and a lot of them unalived by accident because they caught the germs from them that they had never been exposed to. But apparently they had stories, and so do the Cherokees, of him showing up to see them too. So it's like, even though he may not have come with this Bible in the hand and everything, he did reach out, I think, to everybody, because we wouldn't have those stories if he hadn't.
He's awesome, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, another quick question for you guys. So, in Psalms, I mean, of course, I've been reading Psalms off and on my whole life, and I have had this idea that it's the Father in all of these Psalms. But do you see the Father in any of the Psalms, or is it mostly Yahweh?
No, not really. I don't see him in there. There's too much evil in it. I mean, there's some
Okay.
good in there, but it's dualistic. It's
Uh-huh.
like, oh, it's good. Oh, it sounds really
Like
good,
there's
and then
one
it's
that
also
says,
just
"Blessed is he that bashes the babies on the rocks." When I get to verses like that, I'm going, "Oh my gosh," you know.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's a splattering of what looks like there could. That's what I mean. Like some of the commandments are not bad. Like don't unalive somebody and don't steal from them, that kind of thing. But it's like all in all, when you start looking at the whole picture, you've got a mess. You know, what I call a mess. It's like of evil and bad stuff, and it's just not what Jesus was teaching us.
I tell you, I've got so much to catch up on and like to reread, and because I feel like you guys, I feel led to start sharing this with people, but I want to have enough evidence to back up what I'm saying, because when people hear this, it is absolutely mind-blowing and very hard to grasp at first. But sorry, guys. Y'all are doing a fantastic job, and I feel like our little community is starting to grow and word is getting out and people are beginning to see it. So
I think
it's
so too.
wonderful. It really is. It's wonderful.
It's wild to me that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. Something that also really makes more sense to me is the proverb where it says, the beginning of wisdom is to fear the Lord. Okay, but then Jesus says, do not fear, right?
Right. It's so polar opposite. I don't, it's like we're just so indoctrinated, I think, is why we couldn't see it until now,
Yep, I agree. Well, you guys keep on doing what you're doing. I'm gonna go ahead and hop out so maybe somebody else can come in here. I'm gonna try to keep on listening though as long as I can. It's about to be bedtime for the children, so
But thank you so much for.
Once again, I appreciate y'all so much, and I'm so enjoying listening to the conversations and everything. It's great. So you guys have a wonderful night, okay?
You too.
You too. Bless you.
All right, bless you guys. Thanks.
Oh, and as Aline is saying this, we have PDFs now of the research I've done, and we have a Discord channel if anybody's interested in joining, where you can, get in touch with any of us anytime and ask questions or just look at the research or whatever you want to do. So if you're interested, just shoot one of us a message and we'll try to get that information to you.
Okay, I will do that. I am so new with the technology thing. I don't have any social media whatsoever other than TikTok, and I'm learning how to use TikTok myself. So, but yeah, I will shoot you guys a message and see if I can get connected with you on that aspect, and maybe I can have more information to share with my girlfriend who is seeking and searching, finally. So that's a blessing.
Yeah, just share the live with her, share the YouTube channel videos.
Yeah, we have a private chat channel in the Discord where we can get in and talk too. Just talk, whatever we want to talk about, which is nice too.
All right, yeah, it is. Okay, guys, well, thank you so much, and I'll be talking to y'all soon.
Okay, we love you.
All right, we love you too. Bye.
Bye. Nathan, see if you can get Vic to come up.
I invited him.
Oh, did you? Good. Okay.
Invited Doxa, so.
Hey, Doxa.
He was in there. Hey.
Hi, guys.
How are you doing?
Pleasure to see you guys again.
You too.
I too might only be able to stay for a while. If I drop, I'll catch you again. But yeah, it's been nice to see you guys. Hello, Bella. Hello, Charlie. Everybody. Ava.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, there was the previous guest. I can sort of resonate with her. It's part of the walk. At first, it's a bit frightening to tip your religion upside down. Your belief system.
Oh yeah, when you first realize this, it's kind of like, oh, what do I do now? It's scary.
Yeah, I'm a heretic. Kind of, like that's what they have all these nice, words that have like trauma attached to them. You're a heretic, or or you're a blasphemy, and so it's very hard to, like, when you do kind of realise that the story is a bit different than you've been told. It's very hard to share it with people who are still in that belief system. I kind of found.
We're all heretics. We're all, yeah, we've been called all kinds of things.
Well, and there were people who terrible things happen to people that thought like us.
Exactly.
Hundreds of years ago.
That's very true, yeah.
And people criticize me for looking at the text and going down in the Hebrew and Greek, and it's like they don't realize people were unalive for doing that, and there's a reason they unalived them. They were, they were afraid they were going to see these things and realize,
Yeah, like wake up the majority who are under this massive sort of mind control of a belief system, so they can be controlled. Yeah, and I suppose, when you realise, you become very dangerous to that system.
Yeah, because literally you got like all three of your Abrahamic religions are following the Old Testament deity, and they're all ascribing to these horrible things. And yet, when you read the text, it's like there's one place, and I think it's in Jeremiah, he says, he makes a complete end of all the nations except for one, which would be like 1% of the population. It's like, they're not thinking when they're reading it. It's like the more I read the Old Testament, the more worried I got, And I'm like, Jacqueline, I could see it playing out. I can see it, like, I don't know if they're using it as a playbook, or if it's, or if it's actually happening because it was written down, But you can see it playing out in the world.
Yeah. And it kind of plays out like, like wheels within wheels. Wheels within wheels, so there's like these feedback loops, and it plays out on different levels. The same sort of scenario, it plays out on a daily basis, and it plays out over 1,000 years. This kind of it's quite interesting. But what I mean? There's these feedback loops, and it's the same. It's the same story. It's like fractals, building on top. That it just gets larger over time, but the base code is the same.
I have a theory it's an algorithm, because the word AI is used in the New Testament quite a bit, and it's used like in Matthew 24, where it says, "Unless those days be cut short, no flesh would survive." Well, right before the word days, both times in that verse, is the word AI. And when I looked it up, they didn't translate it, and I thought, why didn't they translate that? And I think that they weren't sure exactly what it meant in the context of that sentence.
Right.
Because
Greek.
Yeah, then when I look back in the Old Testament, if you take the Old Testament, put it in modern Hebrew instead of ancient Hebrew, you'll see a lot of what's happening today is actually in there. Like, there's one verse in Isaiah that says, Has anybody looked at the books? Has anybody counted the towers? Well, if you put it in modern Hebrew, it means, has anybody looked at the algorithms? Has anybody counted the cell towers? It's like, I found a lot of that. I did a lot of translating into modern just to see what I got, and I was mind blown. And then when I went back and looked at Joshua carrying around the tablets, right before tablets, it says AI in Greek, just like it does in the New Testament on the days. And I'm like, oh no.
And what is AI? What does it mean in the Greek, or is it never translated?
It has a little meaning, but not really an English equivalent, But I'm sitting there looking at this going, is this an algorithm?
Yeah.
Is that why it seems to be playing out over and over and over?
Right. Are we AI? And our creators have to, every now and then control us.
Adam comes out to be a computer in Genesis, his creation, and it talks about the tubers and the apertures and all the things that go into making a monitor. It even talks about ATM machines. And
Wow.
the first computer was named Adam, and I think it sold for $666 too, which is ironic because that's Yahweh's number, by the way, 666.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of all connected. I wonder if that is connected to the witchcraft, the Star of Remphan, the hexagram.
It could be.
Yeah, because it adds
I
up.
think Judaism is the original. That Kabbalistic magic is the original witchcraft, in my opinion. But
I think so too. It's like ancient witchcraft from Babylon. It's still being utilized today. Yeah.
Look at the language. Like he said, he summons the flies from Egypt. It's like summoning. And I mean, there's a lot of there's wands in there. There's house idols. There's all kinds of things in there. It's wild. He calls down the rain and the fire.
Yeah, and and often things are repeated. So like in Psalm 19, where the Lord God rolls back the sky and he comes out like a dragon. And that's Psalm 19, but it's also repeated in maybe Jeremiah somewhere, almost exactly the same.
And 2 Samuel 22 is actually he falls from the sky and after he bends heaven, and in Hebrew it says he's made to go on foot, but he's described as having like hot coals coming out of him and fire in his eyes and his nostrils smoking, and he's wrapped in thick darkness with lightning, and sounds just like a dragon.
In Psalm. It doesn't, and that's repeated in that Psalm, I think, 19 or 18.
Yeah, it is. 18, I think. Yeah, maybe 18.
18, yeah. I know. So, yeah. But if he's a dragon, I went down that track for a while, like dragon lore. Are these, serpents, fiery serpents? Who are they like? Are we captive to dragons?
I have about a 4-hour video I haven't recorded yet on Revelation. And you can suck him into all of that, every bit of it. That's wild. As being the dragon.
Well, there's that interesting. Is it in Hosea? I can't quite remember 8 or 5, and it talks about that the Lord will lay wait like a lion, a bear, and a leopard, which is exactly the same description of the beast in Revelations 13.
Yep. It's in Hosea too. It's in two different books. Yep.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. That's wild, isn't it?
It is. And then there's other 2 verses where the Lord tells David to take a census. And then, just off the top of my head, I can't remember the books, but then maybe in Jeremiah or Samuel, it talks about Satan asking David to take a census. So
Chronicles.
Chronicles, the 2 occasions for David to take a census, and one was by the Lord and the other was by
And in modern Hebrew, that's not take a census, it's dose the people.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, I know. So we're only getting half the story, aren't we? And that's why the Bible's so deep. It's sort of almost cryptic.
SIM cards are in there. The gopher wood for the ark is like a GPS thing in modern Hebrew. It's like the thing where you monitor what's on the bottom of the floor of the ocean.
Yeah.
There's a lot of correlations back and forth.
All this stuff, though, they know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, they know exactly, I think. Which is even more frightening.
Well, then you had that for me. Then when I worked out that God was maybe not the best, then you've got to try and justify like it in how Jesus is not that God. Especially if you're coming out of like church where you've been taught with so many presuppositions.
Oh, I know. Like that verse, Isaiah 7:14, is actually Herna. The goddess Herna is a maiden in both the Greek and the Hebrew.
Wow.
I was like, they've got multiple deities in there too.
Yes, and Asherah. Well, did you think because I did a lot of research more in Mesopotamian and Egyptian, especially in the like Mesopotamian pantheons and mythologies, and it kind of looked like the Old Testament is just a rehash of older Sumerian stories, especially like the Ark, but it's a bit more detailed.
Yeah, I've read some of those things too. The Ten Commandments are actually in the Egyptian Book of the Dead also.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So kind of repeating, it's all happened before. Nothing's new under the sun, and we're just sort of playing the game like in a different update.
Right. That's right. That's a good way of saying it.
I do think everything that I found came from Jesus's words, and it's like he has led me into all this, and it's like I think he had the words of the life, and I hope people will not throw out his words when they get rid of the rest of it, because that's the bottom line.
Yeah. And you're right. I've seen it happen. So many people, like, they do kind of wake up and then get disillusioned and don't realise that actually, if you keep looking, the truth is in there. It's, at the end of the day, I always say it's the message that Jesus taught.
Night, Tammy.
And that's what you can't get away from through all of it is Jesus' message. And I think that rings true.
If anybody else would like to come up too, feel free to request, and we'll let you up to ask questions or express your opinion, whatever you would like to say, as long as there's no yelling and fighting.
You guys aren't really yellers, are you?
No, we're more laid back here.
We don't like that. No. That's what you get on TikTok with these subjects.
And you kind of know them by their fruit. And that's what it is. Once you start walking in that spirit and in that revelation, you start to, you see it, you see people who are manifesting, God on earth, through the way they work. And it can be lots of different people. But I think as it is, it's the fruit, and it's the fruit that comes from the heart, which has come from God somehow, through the Holy Spirit when it manifests in you, and then you do the outworking of the Holy Spirit on it. So you're doing God's will on earth and connected to God. So that's sort of a little bit about I think about and think. I don't know what you guys think.
I do agree, because there's been big changes in my life, and how I treat people, how I look at situations, how I want to do things. So a lot has changed for me personally since figuring this out.
Yeah. Well, it's like no other religions really teach, though I do have some trouble with Paul, is that love is patient, love is kind, it's long suffering. It doesn't judge. It's not puffed up. All those, I just know.
Yeah, those were good things that he mentioned there.
Yes, I just know I fall short, and just to try and live your life along that message, and that understanding. And often it is, long suffering. We're dying to our ego. Sometimes you do just have to let other people let their ego go, and not let yours get involved.
Yeah, I know
But I
this
think that was
afternoon in the live, I would have liked to jumped up and talked to him, but I knew that the poor guy would probably have a heart attack if I did. So I thought, no, just wait.
Yep.
He's not ready to hear this yet,
No, and that's what I got to be careful. You got to be careful. Is it coming from the flesh, from your pride and ego, your favourite self, or is it coming from your heart, which I believe, that's the spirit over all things. God is love. It comes out of your heart. It's written on your heart. His law is written on your heart, and we don't need divine law written down on tablets that judges us. If we agree to come under that law, well, then it judges us, it accuses us. But if you come under the law of love, it's.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, the Spirit gives life, and then you give life out of your tongue, from your mouth. If you use it for good, and you talk good into this world, good into people. A very hard thing for me, controlling the tongue is a hard thing, because that's the one that's connected to the ego. I found.
Oh, I know. I've said things sometimes, and I'm like, why did I say that? It's like I knew better.
Yeah. So do we then create our world? We create our future through the way we interact with it and how we transmute it as it comes to us through love. And so so in that way we change the future to a positive way, instead of like in a negative way, by berating people, or
Right.
these debates and arguments. Yeah. I think it's got a lot.
You just came up. Are you trying to talk?
Hey.
Questions?
Hey, dog, you got a question?
Yes, I was. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're over 18, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm interested to see what you think about the serpent seed doctrine. Are you familiar with that?
You made a video about it years ago.
Yeah, and I've kind of revamped how I think about that, because when we look in John, Jesus, when he's talking to the Jews, he said they are of their father the devil, and he was a liar and unaliver from the beginning. Well, when you read that in Greek, it really puts an impression on you, because it's from the Genesis. I think he was trying to tell us that we can't believe all that stuff. And then he tells us that a good tree can't produce evil fruit. So how can we have a tree of good and evil? You see what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So I had to kind of rethink how everything I think of right now comes through the lens of Jesus. It's like it filters through his words. If it doesn't line up, it's like I said, the comparisons, compare.
Yeah. I do believe in the serpent seed, and I think that certain races have more of a temperament towards sin. So, but having said that, I do believe that all men can be saved, and it's really just a matter of turning to the spirit of love, in my opinion, and rejecting this world that I believe we're prisoners in, because the Bible uses the word captive, prisoner, and he came to set us free. Set us free from what?
Yeah, captive.
We're literally in the underworld, according to Jesus, because he said we're in Cato, which is the underworld. And I think we are the captives that he came to set free.
Yes, but also we're captive by ourselves, because the story of the prodigal son tells us that we can go home at any time, and all we have to do is come to our senses, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I always look at the story of the prodigal son when I'm trying to figure things out, and I'm thinking, if God is my father and he loves me, it's really just up to me for salvation, because I can come home at any time, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
you
that
just
what you
have
get
to.
from the story of the prodigal
You
son?
have to make a decision to choose the light over the darkness.
Right. And that's why I think that the serpent seed could be true, but some of these people, they can come home at any time, but they just don't realize it, and the devil has lied to them and told them a different story, and if you believe a lie, then you're under the spell. That's magic.
Yep, definitely.
But anyway, I just wanted to come on here and tell you that I really appreciate you, and I wanted to also give a shout out to Bobby Collier. I don't know if y'all listen to him, but I think he
We
has
know
some
him. Yeah.
really good teachings, and I really like the way he presents everything, and he's such a positive person, and I really enjoy listening to him. But also really enjoy what you're doing, and some of the stuff you're teaching I've never heard before, and it blew my mind, of course, the first time I heard it. But then when I started thinking about it, I was like, wow,
Yeah, I
this
came
makes a
across
lot of,
Bobby's
this makes a lot
videos
of
early
sense.
on. Yeah, I came across Bobby's videos early on. They were a help to me, big help.
Yeah, and that's really what Bobby is really what set me on what I think I'm on the right course. But again, I always like to refer people back to anybody that tells you they know what's going on and they're 100% certain. You got to remember that the Bible says we're all groping in darkness, and one day we'll see, clearly. But right now we see dimly through the glass. Of course, Paul said that, but anyway, I do believe that's true, that we won't never really know the truth until we're on the other side. So we can have all our theories, and we can wonder, who
Right.
changed the scriptures around and who messed with what. But in the end, you just have to kind of be led by the Holy Spirit. And I believe if you trust in the spirit of love and you let love be your guide, love will guide you into the truth. And what you're teaching is love, and love makes a lot of sense if you think about it.
Yeah, it does to me too. And I think you're 100% correct on that. I think Jesus, he set us free. Once you know the truth, you can start really loving people and seeing things for what they really are.
I'm actually married to a Catholic woman, and of course we butt heads left and right. But it's really interesting how you can be caught up in your religion, and it blinds you to so much of what's right in front of your face, because you can't take the blinders off. And that's one of the things Jesus said, is he came to give sight to the blind. So
there's hope. I used to be Catholic, dog. There's hope.
Yeah, and well, I actually, even though I grew up Assembly of God and in a Pentecostal church, when I started studying religion, now I consider my past religious experience as a Catholic, because really the Catholic Church held a lot of control over religion for a long time. And I'm not
they
so
definitely
certain
did.
that somebody else is not in control of the Catholic Church also, and I don't want to be anti-Semitic or anything like that, but I'll just leave it at that, I guess.
Well, I
No,
agree
it's
with you on
okay.
that one. Yep.
We
So
agree.
there's infiltration from many sides, and the enemy has. I believe the enemy fights amongst himself, and it's one of his flaws, because they fight for power and struggle to have the knowledge, and hide it from who they want. But there's something really strange to me about the whole thing, is because something about their magic, and I don't know, I haven't really studied magic fully, but there's something that they do where they have to put it right in front of your face that makes their magic stronger or something. I don't know, I'm not sure how that works for them, but I do see them, once
Like
you become awake.
revelation of the method.
you see so much of it in front of your face, and I'm actually starting to wake up my wife, because now she's calling me. Sometimes she's going, "Hey, look at this guy. He's doing what you're talking about." And I'm like, "Yeah, you see." But anyway, I'm gonna get off now and listen to y'all. Somebody else talk, but I just wanted to say I really appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thanks
and
for coming
you
up. We
so
appreciate
much.
it. Yeah.
I appreciate y'all and what you're doing, and I think you're on the right track, in my opinion.
Well, thank you.
Means the world to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
If anybody else would like to come up, just shoot me a request and you can come up, and if you have questions, you want to talk or discuss it, what we're presenting, feel free to.
Well, that was a really interesting question, host, about the twin seed lines. I've all wondered about that. And that's what I mean on like levels. Perhaps there is a twin seed line, but then I wonder perhaps it's also in us. That we've got the bad seed, we've got the tares in us as well. And at the end of the day, we've got to try and let the wheat's got to overgrow the tares, and and those tares will be thrashed out, taken away.
It scares me, that part where he said that, be careful not to rip up the wheat with the tares, and stuff. And I'm like, it's like I always worry. I always say a prayer, Father, let me say the right things, let me do it right,
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I wonder if we are the fallen angels. I did read it just recently, I think, in the secret book of John, but I've wondered that. Is that what are we the the third of the angels that got were we cast down from heaven, caught up in the tail? Were we somehow caught up and brought into a fleshly matrix and enslaved?
I debated that, and then I think about, he said he paid a ransom for us. A ransom is a payment to a kidnapper. So are we actually fallen, or are we kidnapped somehow? And then we're actually having, creating more people down here, by marriage and all, So are we held captive, or were we actually fallen? I don't think we were fallen, though. I might be wrong.
Well, I don't know. I just think about probably I'm just a thinker.
There's a scripture. There's a scripture that says when somebody's found worthy to be in the new kingdom, and I'm paraphrasing, they become equal to the angels. Do you know that scripture?
Oh, I remember that. He said that in heaven we'll be like the angels. We'll be equal to the angel. We'll be like them.
Well, there's one where he talks about. Where they ask him, the woman who had 7 wives or 7 husbands or something. She had multiple husbands, and they said, "Who's she going to be married to?" They were trying to trick him, and they said, "Who's she going to be married to in heaven?" And then he said, "Well, don't you know that in heaven there is no marriage? You're like the angels." But then
that was another thing about the Christ word too.
There's another scripture that says that those that are found worthy of the kingdom are equal to the like when you become saved, you become equal to an angel. So I'm pondering like you on, are we the fallen angels, or are they here are the fallen angels the serpent seed? But again, I believe every man can be saved. All you have to do is turn your heart to the spirit of love.
No, I agree. And just to back up what you were saying, that in Philippians 2, 6, I think it says, though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being. When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died, unalived a criminal's death on the cross.
I don't think, there's 2 Jesuses though, and I don't think that the real Jesus was born. I think he was sent.
I wonder that too.
You been
But
sitting for my love.
being in the flesh is slavery, because you become a slave to the flesh. You have to eat, you have to drink, you have to work. You know,
That's true.
you need things. Being in the flesh is slavery. In my
Yeah.
opinion, we're in slavery. Everybody that's in the flesh, you're sold into slavery, and we're not supposed to be here. In my opinion, this is not a good place. I mean, it can be, and it can seem nice if you have money and you have, you know. I know a lot of rich people. I'm not wealthy myself, but I get to hang around with a lot of rich people, and they're very blind to spirituality because they have so much, you know, goods and things in the flesh that, you know, they can get whatever they want, and money solves a lot of problems down here.
Right. It's yep. But that's sad in a way
I
because
hate
they
having
won't
to
seek.
participate.
But religion teaches us, you know, tithe so you can be blessed and be wealthy.
Yeah.
One of my friends that I kind of argue with and try to, you know, bring into my way of thinking, you know, we kind of go round and round about that subject because he's real into, you know, giving his money to the church and you know, being a blessed person. But I feel like myself personally, I have become more blessed when I quit doing that, and I just, you know, tried to love people and walk in love more, and then trying to, you know, fulfill the laws and the unfulfillable law, you know, all the laws that in my opinion cannot be fulfilled.
Right.
And I don't believe Christ fulfilled the law either, like the, you know, most Christian churches teach us that he came and fulfilled the law, because he let the woman go that was caught in adultery, and the law says you should have stoned her. So if he was without sin, then he should have stoned her. So
Right. I don't think he was teaching the Old Testament law like
no,
they
I don't
said.
think so either. We're just
Uh-huh.
blind to it because of Zionism, I guess is what I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
You know that verse that says he didn't come to abolish the law but to fulfill it? That word for
Yeah.
fulfill is actually to pay for you.
Like a ransom.
Right.
Yeah, like a
Right.
ransom.
Yeah, he's
and
a rescuer. But that's why I say we're prisoners, because he came to pay the ransom for us, to show us the way, to get us out of here. He wants us to, but you have to wake up to get out of here. I think you can't, if you embrace this life and you want to stay here and you say this is good, you're not worthy of the kingdom, in my opinion, because you like this better than spirituality.
Right.
The flesh is not necessarily a good thing. The Bible, like most Christians believe they're made in the image of God, but I believe you're made in the image of the God of this world. And that, you know, like what Paul said, your body is vile. It's really just a monster.
It's always wanting
in my
bad
opinion,
things.
the flesh is a monster. It's a monster.
It always
and, you know,
desires bad things, especially as a man.
exactly. Well, it's for every person. You know, it's like, what's killing you? Your desires.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
most of Yahweh's creations come out of the ground, like Adam from the dust and the dirt, and it's like he said that word for born again was actually born from above. But when a man and a woman fertilize an egg inside of a woman, there's literally a spark of light that is let off when that happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he said, unless a person be born of the spirit and the water, it's like, I thought, is that what he's talking about? Because that's a total different way of coming about than being,
Well,
than coming out of the dirt.
Electricity, just like Christ said, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven.
Yeah, that could be too. I mean, there's so much I have more questions now than I do answers now that I've learned what I have learned.
I'm going to tell you what I believe, and this is why people say we're in a simulation, because if you think about it, your brain works off electricity. Your whole body works off electricity. I'm an electrician, by the way, and I'm a smart home electrician. I work with electronics, but I used to be an electrician. That's how I started out. And so I know a little bit about electricity. But your whole brain works off electricity. Your spine is really just an extension of your brain, and every input that you have from your senses works off electricity. It's literally an electric signal sent to your brain. So when we're looking at our world, it's really what our signals send back to our brain, and then it's up to us to decode that. Every person sees the world differently. Like, I like to tell people, my red may not be the same as your red. My red might be your green.
Right.
So we all see the world differently, but we're getting input into our brain or our soul through our senses. Like, if I want to know what the weather's like, I go outside and I ask my eyes to look out, and I ask my skin to feel the temperature, and and I kind of get a sense of what's going on and what the weather's going to be like today. So everything, though, is open to our interpretation. And it's strange to think that the way I see the world is totally not the way you see the world, and the fact that we can even connect at all is amazing to me. But I do believe we are on somewhat of a similar playing field. Before I forget, I wanted to ask you one more question. Have you ever, or do you listen to Jonathan Kleck? I know he doesn't believe Yahweh. He believes Yahweh is Father, so...
I've heard him before on a video.
He has some interesting things that he talks about, and I used to listen to him for a long time until I started getting onto realizing what y'all are teaching, that the God of the Old Testament is really evil. I used to listen to Kleck all the time. I thought he was really, onto the truth. But then when I realized that the God of the Old Testament is the devil, I kind of shut him down, because I realized he didn't have the truth, and I thought he might actually be Masonic. So
possible.
Because the Masons kind of give you they always are giving you some truth, but they're
right, just enough to get you wrapped in.
Just enough so they can slide in the lie. Yeah,
right,
just enough so they can
sandwich
get the
all the
lie
lies in between. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what, Sally, that's when I quit listening to him, when he said he was an angel from the Church of Philadelphia.
Right, sure.
Yeah, I was like, huh?
Well, he has some interesting things, and I've come to think he is a Mason somehow, but he also tries to expose Freemasonry also, so it's very interesting. He's an interesting guy to me, but and I still actually even listen to him sometimes to just see what he's saying, but because I actually...
Yeah, I don't mind. I like him.
I listen to people that I think are my enemies, because I like to keep my enemies close.
Sometimes you learn a lot by listening to it.
Exactly. You learn a lot from listening to these Jewish rabbis, like you were talking about.
He does have a good breakdown on the Vatican. He really does. Like, he's got that nailed, but just like you said, they preach part truth and part lies, and I don't trust them at all.
Yeah, I've been in these lives a couple of times. I'll talk to anyone, because I'm just looking for knowledge, and I sort of mix it all up, put it in the bag, and then go home and think about it,
Yeah, exactly. You can learn anything, even from somebody that's a fool. You can still learn something from them.
Exactly. And and a good place to learn about what's wrong with the scriptures is to listen to some of those Muslim lives, because they're attacking it, and it doesn't change anything, but I'm interested to hear what they got to say, and most of the time it's only like they're cherry picking. They don't really understand.
But they do point out some things. They are pointing out contradictions. They are pointing out things. I've been in multiple lives like that, and that's very true.
Well, it's interesting. You learn stuff. Yeah, it is a contradiction. I kind of now, as I read the Bible, if there's a contradiction, I think, well, why is the contradiction in there? What is it?
Right.
Yeah. Because I feel the Bible's just a whole story with all the characters in it, and it's sort of, like a complete story. And like, that's why it's been changed a little bit and everything. It might not be like, it's not perhaps the inerrant word of God, but it's the story, and it's if you study it and read it more and more, and you see different levels in it, and you start to see, sub stories starting to unfold, and then and the realization then that the Old Testament God, his character can't match Jesus' Father, and they have to be different. Well, then then you
Yes,
start.
and that's why Jesus told us to have discernment when we read the Bible. And I think that's one thing that I missed in the past, and that I think, I took the word as everything in there is 100% true. But Jesus didn't teach that. He taught that we need to discern the scriptures and have discernment. And
He said, be careful how you
believe
hear.
John 10:10 is the discernment scripture from Jesus. It's the thief that comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I am come that they've had to have life. So you can use that to test everything. Is this life and love and from the good shepherd, or is this from the evil one-eyed shepherd?
Yeah, because Yahweh says he raises up a foolish shepherd that won't tend the flock and won't,
Yeah, and there's something about his eye being blind or something like that, and then you see all these celebrities doing the one-eyed symbolism.
Right.
And it's a thing.
Now we know who they follow. Yeah, they follow Yahweh. No doubt. Everyone does.
Well, I tell everybody that you don't get to the top unless you sell out. Think about it. Everybody
you have to sell out
that was
the whole
everybody
system's
that was an
designed that way.
icon. Everybody that was an icon died young. Elvis, Michael Jackson, Prince. I could name hundreds of celebrities that died young that were not just movie stars, but at the pinnacle, at the very top of stardom. So you have to sell out and you have to pay your dues, I believe. And a lot of those celebrities have lost people really close to them, in strange ways that don't make a lot of sense. It's always
I sure have.
So be careful the deals you make with people. Some people say, I'll do anything to be famous. And the guys go, hey, really? Anything?
Guys.
Well,
and once you wake up, it's hard to watch any of those
guys.
When you're younger, you watch TV and stuff, but now that I know all this stuff, I can't watch it without seeing all the evil and stuff that's in it. Yeah. It's like I can't do it.
Yeah, it's hard, but you really shouldn't watch TV unless you're completely awake and you're looking for that thing, because you're going to see it. And if you just, sometimes we like to sit down and just say, I just want to relax and just, be taken away. And you're kind of tired, and that's the wrong state to actually watch television.
It is. It really is.
It's actually a brainwashing device is what it is. They have these frequencies that they use on the television. They've been changing them they used to be 60 hertz, and now they're 120. It's to me, it's always strange how they're always multiples of 6. But their magic is crazy. Some of the stuff they do. If you've ever studied Freemasonry and and witchcraft,
we're staring into that black mirror every day. That obsidian mirror. The black mirror is. It's your phone. It's your TV. That's everything.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's and it can really hypnotize you too if you pay attention. Sometimes you'll be sitting there, and if you're not careful, your jaw might be hitting the floor, and you might start drooling on yourself. If you're in the really tired and something.
Yeah, that's showing you right there with that. Gosh, you look at people just watching the television. It's entrancing. What's up?
Disconnect somehow.
After you came up, did you want to say anything?
Hey, Vic.
Yeah, I go. Hey, how's it going? And I got a little bit of a signal problem tonight. So if I'm broken, let me know. Really enjoying the truth sharing, you know.
Did you catch the first part of what we did tonight? I think we lost him. He's got one red bar. There he is.
Yeah, I'm struggling here. Yeah, I heard some of it. I was kind of lingering in the background there, and awesome. Man, I think it's great that we've come to a time in humanity where we're starting to break some of this down. You know, I'm a churchgoer all my life. You know, started out as a Catholic and went into the Baptist thing, you know, and it's just nothing there. I mean, they just rehashing age-old Yahweh traditions, and phew, it's great to be set free. You know, I think
Yeah, I
that's
had
what
listened to
truth
some of
does,
these.
and
You know, what are we set free from? Does that mean we're set free from the law? Because, you know, we struggle all our lives to be Christians and try to live up to the law. And, you know, once you learn the truth and you find out, hey, God's my Father and he really loves me and he wouldn't punish me into hell for eternity. You know, is that what sets us free?
I think just choosing the light over the dark is what sets us
yes,
free. It's
I
like,
can answer
because when
that.
you choose the light,
That's a big part of it.
Well, I'm saying
Yeah.
free from what? Are we free from the law now, or are we just free to go to heaven? Or
I think the law is from Yahweh. I don't think it was ever from Father. I think that
Well,
some of the
I
commandments
think
might be good and things we should do, you know, like not covet and not, you know, unalive people and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's so much evil in there that I can't buy into any of the. I just go with what Jesus says. You know, he said, you know, love your neighbor as yourself. A new commandment I give you to love one another. Once you love somebody, you're not going to treat them in a bad way.
mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that pretty much is self-explanatory. You know.
What do you think about the concept of heaven? Like, and I was watching a video today about, or I started watching. I never actually got to finish watching. But they were talking about there's three heavens, and like, because Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within. So what do you think about the concept of the heaven and like? I even hate to bring up
though with those verses.
I even hate to bring up the subject matter, flat Earth and the firmament. But have you heard of that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
we're all in on that.
So you believe in flat Earth then, and the
Yeah,
biblical?
I think everybody here does.
So are we trapped in under a dome by Jesus, or are we trapped under a dome by Yahweh?
No, definitely Yahweh. This is his prison system. That's the zodiac and everything that all the pagans worship. They worship all the everything, every aspect of the prison system. They're worshiping the bars instead of trying to figure out the truth to how to get out.
It's like Jesus said he's the door, he's the gate. Okay,
Yes.
in Greek, that word is actually portal. He's like the way out of here.
Right.
It's like it might be when he said if we, even though we unalive, we pass directly from that to life.
But what do you think about the difference between like the physical, like when we're talking about the firmament and things like that, we're talking about something maybe physical versus what Jesus said, the kingdom is within you.
Now
Well, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's debatable about whether it's in the midst or within you or nearby, or I mean that word is it can be very varied. And there's been so much argument over that over the year. Now I do think that this Christ consciousness is not good. Um, I think that because he said that nobody should ever call him the Christ. He strictly forbade anybody to do it. He rebuked the people that did. He warned in Matthew 24, 5 that calling him would be the main deception to call him that. And yet that's all we hear anymore is Christ is Christ, 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 Christ. Every other word.
But he was asking about that one verse though, because it can be translated. It's in the midst of you, like it's right here.
Yeah.
Instead of within you, which a lot of translations want to say that, but some of the older translations say in the midst of.
It's almost pantheism. It's within you, both. It's within me, but it's also it's within my midst. I think it's within everything that the Father, His
I believe
essence is in everything.
I
That's
believe
alive.
I believe Philippians says acknowledge the spirit within you or something like that. Like acknowledge the good things within you or something. I'd have to pull it up to read it, but to me, I've always thought of that verse as being acknowledging that God is with you on the inside. And to me, I always feel like the real you is the inside person. Like there's an outside person that everybody sees and that we show people, but the real you is the person on the inside. And of course, this is Old Testament. In Proverbs, it says man looks on the outward appearance, but God judges your motives, like the inside, the reason you're doing something versus what the result was.
It's really strange that Jesus said he was the temple. It says he was the temple, but then when you turn around, Paul says we're the temple of God. And it's like I don't think we're gods at all. And this is my personal opinion.
Well, that's what Jesus said, though.
What?
Jesus said that.
No, he said, isn't it written in their law, ye are gods? It's like he made a distinction that it was their law that said that they were gods. He wasn't saying that we are gods,
The pronouns are really important throughout.
Yeah. It's like every time he mentions the law, just about he mentions it as theirs or your law. Same with the synagogues. He'll say your synagogue. He didn't name them specifically as his.
But didn't he right before he said that when he was referring back to Psalms 82, didn't he say, don't you know you're all gods? Doesn't it say in your scriptures? And then he quotes the scripture after that, because first he tells them, don't you know you're all gods? Right? Or am I wrong? I'd have to look it up.
That's kind of how I think.
I thought he told them first. He said, don't you know your gods? And then he said, doesn't it say in your scripture? Like he showed them where it said in the Bible, but he told them first, don't you know your gods? Because they were accusing him of saying that he's a god, which is the reason he got killed. In my opinion, that the reason he got killed was because he was saying he is God, because he was saying, you want to kill me for my good works? And they said, we don't kill you for your good works. We're killing you because you, a man, are making yourself equal to God.
Right, I see it now. John 10:33, the Jews answered him, saying, for the good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, and because thou being a man makest thyself God. And Jesus answered them, is it not written in your law, I said ye are gods?
See, that's he said, I said.
No, but that's the way it's written.
Your law that I said, right?
That's the way it was written in Psalms. He's not saying that he is telling them that. He's saying that's the way y'all have it written.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay, let me see if I can find that verse. Yeah, it reads exactly that in Psalms 82:6. I have said, ye are gods, and all children of the Most High. See, so that's Yahweh speaking.
Well,
That's not him. But he's quoting
Gotcha.
back what their
Yeah,
scriptures
he might be
say.
telling the truth.
Okay.
yeah.
But
Um,
was he killed for saying that he was a god? So he.
Dog. I gotta stop you for a second. Just because with TikTok things, we can't try not to say the K word. Say unalived or.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Sorry.
I'll try. Yeah.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but it's just like they mark